To start off our multiplication unit, we started talking about multiplying big numbers by using an area model. So we learned 3 different types of area models. This would be the first type. So we would call this type of area model a 2 by 1 because when you multiply 23 times 5, 23 has 2 digits and 5 only has 1. So when we go to set up this area model, we would say we need a 2 by 1 area model, meaning that we need an area model that is 2 boxes wide and only 1 box tall. So everything that we do is based on place value. So to start off, we would have to look at this 23 right here. This 23 is 2 digits, meaning that we need to expand that number. So since there's a 2 in the tens place, that means there is 20. And there's a 3 in the ones place, so there are 3 ones. So 23 written in expanded form is 20 plus 3. I always told the kids that right here on the edge of the area model is a little tiny invisible multiplication symbol, just to remind them that we multiply the numbers on the outside. So what are we multiplying 23 by? We're multiplying 23 by 5. So now that we have our problem set up using the area model, we have to find the partial products that go inside the boxes. So for example, if we are wanting to solve this first box right here, I told the kids to look up and over. So you look up and see 20 and over and see 5. So we will be multiplying 20 times 5. I taught the kids the trick of covering up the zeros. So we would just multiply 5 times 2 and get 10, and then uncover the zeros, and there's only 1 there. So we would add 1 more, 0. Then in the next box, this box, we would look up and see 3, over and see 5. So this time we're multiplying 3 times 5. There's no zeros, so we just multiply 3 times 5, which is 15. So inside of these boxes, those numbers are called partial products. On TCAP, students could be asked what are the partial products to solve 23 times 15. So they would have to know how to set up this area model to find the partial products. But if we were solving for the answer, we would have to add those partial products back together. So I would stack up 115, making sure that we line those numbers up nice and neat. The ones place is lined up with the ones place, and the tens place is lined up with the tens place, and so on. So we always add starting in the ones place. So I'm going to start all the way to the right. 0 plus 5 is 5. 0 plus 1 is 1. And then 1 plus nothing is 1. So the answer would be 115. That is the first example that we had, a 2 by 1. Students are also responsible for knowing how to complete a 3 by 1. So for this example, you can see that 685 is 3 digits, and 7 is only 1 digit. So for this box, we will have to draw out a rectangle and split it 3 different ways. And then the 7 is just 1 digit, so it only needs to be 1 tall. So this is what a 3 by 1 area model looks like. So again, since the 685 has more than 1 digit in it, that means that we can put it in expanded form. So we're going to stretch out that number and show all the different place values. So since the 6 is in the hundreds place, it has a value of 600. The 8 is in the tens place, so it has a value of 80. And then the 5 is in the ones place, and it has a value of 5. Again, this little tiny multiplication symbol is helpful because it reminds them that they're multiplying. And then we're multiplying that number by 7. So this is how they would be expected to set this problem up. Now that it's set up, they are ready to start multiplying. So let's start in this first box right here. Again, we look up and over. So when I look up, I see 600. When I look over, I see 7. I see those zeros. I'm going to ignore them for now. And we're just going to multiply 6 times 7, which is 42. And then uncover the zeros, and there are 2. So this partial product is 4,200. Moving on to the next box, we look up and see 80, over and see 7. I know that 8 times 7 is 56. And then there is 1 0 at the end. So 560. In the last box, I would look up and see 5, over and see 7. There's no zeros, so 5 times 7 is just 35. Again, these numbers inside the boxes are called partial products. It's just part of our answer. So if we wanted to get the full product, we would have to stack these numbers up to multiply or to add them. I do try to make the kids line their numbers up and write super neat, because when they write them all sideways and like going diagonally, their place values aren't lined up. So when they go to add, it's very messy and they lose track of like what place they're in. So starting in the ones place, 0 plus 0 plus 5 is 5. 0 plus 6 plus 3 is 9. 2 plus 5 is 7. And 4 plus nothing is 4. So the product for this question would be 4,790. And then the last area model that they could see is a 2 by 2. This is the most complicated because there's just a lot of adding and a lot of zeros, and they sometimes mess this one up just because of simple like calculation errors. So since 65 is 2 digits and 17 is also 2 digits, we would need a 2 by 2 area model. So if you look at this box right here, there's 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. So it's 2 wide and also 2 tall. So a 2 by 2. We're still going to split up these numbers since they're 2 digits. We're going to put them in expanded form. So for 65, when we stretch that out, we get 60 and 5. It's important that you keep the 60 and the 5 together. So they could have put the 60 and the 5 right here or on the top where I originally put it, but they can't mix it up. Like they can't put one on the top and one on the side. You either have to put 65 on the top or on the side, but it has to stay together. You can't just like put them wherever you want. And then here's our little multiplication symbol. And then 17 split up is 10 and 7. So now let's go ahead and multiply inside these boxes. So starting with this first box, we look directly up and directly over. So when I look up, that was not supposed to happen. Sorry about that. All right, when I look up, I see 60. When I look directly over, I see 10. So I'm multiplying 60 times 10. I'm going to ignore those zeros. I know that 6 times 1 is 6, and then there are 2 zeros. So 600. Moving on to the next box. I look up and see 5, and I look directly over and see 10. I know that 5 times 10 is 50. Moving right along, let's look at this box right here. We look directly up and directly over. So 60 times 7. I know that 6 times 7 is 42, and there's 1 0 there, and I'm going to add that back on there. And then for our last box, I look up and see 5, and I look over and see 7. I know that 5 times 7 is 35. So now for this example, we have 4 partial products. So a couple of things that the kids do wrong. They don't put enough zeros, or they put too many in their area model for their partial products. And then the next mistake that's very common for them to make that I've noticed is, again, they're just not adding correctly. So getting them to slow down when they're doing that addition is super important because they're making a lot of errors there. So 600 plus 50 plus 420 plus 35. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5 is 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. Now this one needs to be regrouped. So we're going to keep the 0, carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. So I'm going to keep the 1, regroup to make a new place value, and then 1 plus nothing would just be 1. So our answer would be 1,105. So those are the 3 different types of area models that your child could see and that they're being asked questions on. So I know this is like a quick video, but I hope that it makes a little bit more sense. If not, just shoot me a message and I can answer any of the questions that you still have. So just to review, they need to know a 2 by 1, which looks like that, a 3 by 1. They technically need to know a 4 by 1 as well, but it works the same way. And then a 2 by 2. So again, if you have any questions, just shoot me a message and I would be happy to help out. Thanks so much for watching.